Let me know. There we go. You guys should be able to hear me now, and we'll double check. So I think, yeah, now this is working sometimes. If it's not one thing, it's another. I had to unplug my headset and plug it back in. So I think, yeah, all good now. Thank you, everybody. Anyway, what I was saying is that my laptop is an LG Gram, and it was having some troubles trying to actually get this stuff working. So now I am on my desktop. I am back home, and we're trying to figure out a new laptop situation for me that can handle this kind of stuff because the new one couldn't do it. So we're going to have to find a different new one that can have enough horsepower for this. But that is what we have determined is the issue. Is it's just a laptop that doesn't have enough power. Okay. Anyway, so we'll kind of get into the markets today, see what's going on. As always, if you guys don't know me or if you're new to this, come over here, profitpilot.com. That way you can come check it out, see what I write about. We're talking about the FOMC, which was a huge thing. I'd like to talk about that because I've talked about it with my subscribers. They're very familiar with it. But I want other people to be familiar with what happens with the FOMC a lot. So let's dive into the markets, and we will discuss that. The S&P was coming up here. One more thing. And we were looking at for a price to kind of, crawl higher. It had been doing it for quite some time, and everything was looking decent. But then, the FOMC kind of got in the way, and people were holding their breath right around here for the FOMC, and it's like, okay. And it has become a rule of mine over the last couple years that I do not trade right after the FOMC. Mostly a lot of things just kind of freeze going into the FOMC because everyone wants to know what's the Fed going to say and if it's going to be anything different. And then it comes out about 2 hours before the end of the market. Comes out 2 hours before the end of the market, and there's usually an initial reaction. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. That is usually a head fake. We almost can't trust what's going to happen the last 2 hours of the day. And I've learned that it's basically the next day that is the most important. And the fact that I'm an end-of-day trader tends to help. This time was a little bit screwy, but what I can show you is this was the FOMC day. That was Wednesday. And we got a little bit crazy. So you can see the market went up and it kind of came back down. Okay. And then we got the market to gap up the next day. Looking at this, being like, okay, that's great. I like when the market, is up. I don't always like when it gaps up because that means that it's away from support and it's probably likely to have to come down in order to find support before it can get going again. That's kind of the problem with gaps. So we had a massive move down like that. And that just made me very thankful that I didn't buy anything just after the FOMC and let it go. But then what happened is it turned right back around at the end of the day, and that looked like it was going to be a nice, good, strong day. Like, okay, it gapped up, came back down, tested, and came back up, and I thought everything was going to be decent and fine. And then on Friday, the very next day, the market opened down without strength. I mean, it just opened down and was blah all day long, and a lot of names had reversed, and you're like, okay, that's got to be a signal. Because you could see price just couldn't hold anything. It couldn't hold the 15-minute 50. The Moxie indicator was back below zero. So basically, the day after the FOMC was a huge trick. And so we got out of that. And then Monday opened with a move up. And I told my subscribers, I said, look, after last week and after the fact that nothing held up, do not trust this. I said, do not trust whatever's going on here on Monday. And sure enough, what we could see is this was an inverse trampoline move on Monday. So I know a lot of you guys are familiar with my lingo now. But an inverse trampoline move is when price is over the 50 and the Moxie indicator is below zero, right there. So that was telling me that we should not trust the up move that price is over the 50 because the Moxie indicator kept telling us, and like, no, this doesn't look good. And then we could also look at the 15-minute 50 right there. It also wasn't strong. They were spread. One was above zero barely. The other one was below zero. That's not good either because essentially we were getting an inverse trampoline move on a 15-minute time frame as well. So price ripped down. That was fine. I was telling my subscribers, like, look, this isn't good. Like, don't trust anything like this. And then price moved down. And for the S&P, I said, usually, if we're going to really roll over, it's a process because you're going to go down, then you're going to bounce, and maybe you're going to go down again. It's going to take time because there are a lot of tree branches. There are a lot of supports areas in the way because look at this. Price bounced right off of the daily 21, which was the target that I gave everybody before. I said, hey, that's a likely place for price to bounce. And then if we look here on the hourly, I mean, price had just went so straight down, so super fast straight down that it created a gap and an air pocket, and it was likely to get sucked back up also because it bounced off that moving average. So far we've been getting all that right as far as the market movement. And a lot of times you can take this education and you can apply it to individual stocks because they all kind of move the same. They move in similar ways and similar patterns. And so this was all pretty common. And then now as far as the S&P goes, I'm seeing right now that we have price getting rejected or at least trapped underneath the hourly 50 with the MOXY indicator significantly below zero. And then as far as the 15, we have price trying to push up over a downtrending 15-minute 50 with, again, the MOXY indicators below zero. So again, I'm not trusting this up move. We could keep kind of moving up a little bit, but this is not a long entry. We have not confirmed anything to the upside. On the hourly chart, we still have the 8 below the 21. If anything, there's a possibility that the price kind of maybe migrates up like this and it actually starts to roll over to the downside. So be careful about this. We're in some tricky chop type stuff, and this is what we've been kind of dealing with for the last several weeks. The NASDAQ, yeah, sorry, Calm, I know. No fun over here. Well, show me a couple names, Calm, and let me know if there's anything that we should be looking at, because I do see that there are some things that are going up. I'll get into those in a second. And I just don't know how much of an effect, if the market continues to go down, how much that might actually mess with these kind of names. So looking here on the NASDAQ, right here, price is at the underside of the hourly 21. I typically call that the arch of the foot, and so I'm expecting price to at least come down and try and retest some low area. So I'm going to be looking at that. I don't know, and we were just talking about this in the MOXY group, I don't know if this is going to be like the beginning of a more major move to the downside, or if it's just going to come down here, retest some lows, basically create a double bottom, and then we actually get a move up. It's too early to determine that. And right here on the 15, price is still running into the underside of a downtrending 15-minute 50 with the MOXY indicators basically mixed. So I don't see anything there. All right, so Calm, let's see. Baba, what's going on with Baba? Well, I'll continue to be a party pooper because I don't see much going on with this. If you want to convince me otherwise, I'm open ears and open-minded, but this doesn't look like much of a party to me either. So if we look at this, the price has been getting rejected by the daily 50 twice. I see that, yes, it has not broken down, but I don't see a longer entry yet. And so far, nothing has been holding. You can see in through here, price has not been holding the hourly 50. It's been holding the 15-minute 50 for a little bit until it doesn't. And then that was a fake out right there. So, yeah, I just don't see anything. We do have earnings coming up, so just be aware of that. I really don't like to trade earnings because you never know what's going to happen for that. Yeah, so I don't really see anything there. Yeah, Sean, Alienware, I have heard about that. We're going to be looking into it. In fact, I'm chatting with the team right now just 5 minutes before we came on. They're like, okay, what kind of specs do you need for a laptop? And I was like, I don't know. I just need something with horsepower. Can you give me that? They're like, yeah, whatever you want. So we're just going to have to find out what's good. But yeah, Alienware, we'll look into that. Ghassan, PayPal, I don't see anything. I actually cover this in my weekly webinar for the MOXY group, but there's a double top, there's negative divergence, and ever since here you can see price got rejected by the underside of the 15-minute 50. So there's nothing yet. It has earnings, and I can't say anything for earnings because, who knows? I like to always trade after earnings, but I don't see anything of strength. Walmart, mixed, again, kind of mixed. What I was seeing is in through here, right here. You see how price was moving up. You see how the MOXY indicator was moving down. That was problematic, and I could see that there was a bit of a gap here between price and the daily 50. So I was actually contemplating shorting this, but I hate kind of shorting tops because they're so messy. It seems as though this would have been a good short, but then it bounced, and then you get this short, and then it bounces. So it's just really kind of chop. If you're going to be trading stuff like this, you're going to be having to be on the 15 or the 5 and the 2 minutes. I mean, this is day trading type stuff. The other issue I'm kind of seeing here is this is a potential inverse trampoline move. Price should not be over the 50 if the MOXY indicator is below 0. I'd be cautious about this because I'm also seeing, actually let me zoom back out on this, and because if we look here, you see how price right here ran into the underside of the 15-minute 50 with the Moxie indicator below zero? There's a possibility this is happening the same thing because price is still underneath the 15-minute 50 and the Moxie indicator is below zero. So, it's a mixed situation. It's mixed bag. What's going to work, what's not going to work. And I don't have a clear picture right now. The only kind of clear pictures that I've been getting are basically on the 15-minute time frame, which is right here and then right here. Do you see how price went into the 15-minute 50 and then dropped and the Moxie indicator was below zero? That was a pretty clean setup. How about the other one? You see how price went into an uptrending 15-minute 50 with the Moxie indicator above zero. That's a pretty clear indication. So those were some good trades, but they were one-day trades. They were literally one-day trades to the upside and one day to the downside, and then you get nothing else. This is the kind of stuff that we're starting to have to deal with in this kind of market. It's not super fun. All right, AHT. So earnings complete, moving up today. All right, so yeah, earnings are complete. Yes, if this thing, looking at that double bottom, if price can maintain itself over the 15-minute 50 going forward, I'd be happy with it. I am a little concerned about the distance between price and the hourly 50 because a lot of times I do see price need to come back down to test the hourly 50. So yeah, if you want to grab something like this, I'm going to have to kind of be using the 15-minute 50 because I believe that is where the setup is. I believe that is where the guidelines are for where we're going to have to follow, using that moving average. Because clearly we can't use the hourly. The hourly 50 is not in play here. Perhaps the other thing you could do is use the hourly 21 EMA. That's a possibility. So yeah, going forward, let's see if AHT can hold the 15-minute 50 and maintain any sort of up move. Just also be aware with AHT that you are here at the daily third ATR. That might be some issue. And you are kind of running right into the thick of some previous price actions. So it could be a little bit challenging. Definitely keep a short leash on names because, just like Walmart, we're seeing some really, really short trades. PLTR. I don't see anything, Pat. There's nothing happening with these names. Unless you are day trading or really short-term trading, I just don't see anything. PLTR keeps getting rejected by the daily 50. It can't hold the hourly 50, so I don't see anything on that time frame. The only thing that I have been seeing is when price can basically follow the 15-minute 50 up or down. That has been the only kind of moves to where I've been seeing some action. And that seems fairly consistent across the board of what I'm seeing. And then one thing I did want to show you, I know oil has been getting a lot of attention, and that makes sense along with the reopening type plays because the market, everything is reopening, right? We're starting to use more stuff. Oil is starting to come back online. People are going to travel this summer. Airlines, cruise lines are going to start getting busier. All that kind of stuff is what we're going to be looking at. So Gush is a leveraged ETF of the oil sector. And what I just saw was price right here bouncing off of the 15 or the hourly 50. So that looked pretty good. We do see price starting to get past the daily 50. That looks good. And then Tom, as far as you were asking about AHT, and where I was saying, hey, I'd like to see price stay over the 15-minute 50. Here's a pretty good example of what I'm looking for. Ideally, like yesterday was a pretty good deal if I had seen this yesterday, but right there, do you see how price actually stayed above the 15-minute 50? That's fantastic. If AHT can do something like that, great, absolutely great. The problem is kind of right here is if price cannot hold the 15-minute 50, then you get a dip. Now, I know maybe it wasn't too much of a dip and eventually recovered, but my point is, back here, when you see here that price was too far away from the hourly 50, that was right here on the 15. And that's what I'm saying with AHT and any other kind of name that's in this kind of position is when I see that price is too far away from the hourly 50 and it breaks off of or breaks down below the 15-minute 50, where does it go? It generally is going to go to the hourly 50. So I kind of want to wait for something like that to happen if I think it's going to happen. But once it has completed that kind of pullback and found support at the hourly 50, then we can see here that price is actually holding the 15-minute 50, and now we're good. So keep that in mind as everything we're looking for AHT going forward. Yeah, calm. So yeah, I know everything is getting rejected before the market. Ran individual starts taking off. I know this stuff is crazy. This market is very, very challenging to say the least. Kyle, the Moxie indicator is a momentum-based indicator. What it's trying to do is determine the acceleration, deceleration of price movement. Is price on this particular time frame accelerating? Is it holding neutral, or is it decelerating? And that is one way that we get divergences. So think about this. Even though on Gush, on the hourly chart, we had price go lower, the Moxie indicator is actually going higher, which is telling us that price is decelerating to the downside, which means it's actually starting to reverse. It's trying to tell us that internally, price is actually slowing down to the downside. It's actually starting to get some pressure pushing to the upside, and that's what it shows us. So divergences are very important on stuff like that. Let's see. Calm, yeah, look here. One stock here, building a position is Boeing. Looking for it to pop to 260 within 3 months. Okay, that's a longer time horizon than what I typically look at. 260. Well, that's a pretty small target, so that's good. 260 in the next 3 months seems reasonable. But for me, I like to wait until I actually see something happen. And what I like to see happen is kind of like this. First of all, I want to see price get over the hourly 50, because if price is below the 50, then it's technically going down. I use moving averages to help me determine if price is going up or down, and then using that as a guide. And so that's what I want to see. I want to see the hourly 50. I want to see the 50, like whatever moving average we're using. I want to see price up over it and it going positive. So I want to see the 50 going up. Right now, Boeing is still going down. The 50 is still going down. Price is still below the 50. I mean, that is clearly and factually, it's not turning around yet. And so you run the risk of just buying as price goes down because you don't know when it's going to turn around, and that could be a while. So for me, I just say, hey, I'm going to remove one of these variables and make it pretty simple for myself, and I'm going to buy when price is going up, when the moving average is going up, and the 50 was always going up right there, and it's not there yet. Maybe it'll change tomorrow, but it's not there yet. And I also want to see the Moxie indicator above zero, and right now it's not above zero. It's still in negative space, negative energy. All right, so let me know if you guys are kind of looking at anything else. And I'll just throw this up again. Looks like we do have a few new people coming and asking questions. I love it when we get new people kind of checking me out and seeing what's going on out here. Profitpilot.com. You guys come over here. You can check out a few of the newsletters. That's the word I'm looking for, that I've written. This last one was talking about the FOMC and this crazy V-shaped move that we had. And then we referenced, over here, we referenced my previous newsletter saying, hey, the FOMC is coming. I wait until the day after. And then here's the FOMC, and I said, this is why I wait the day after. So kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle together for you guys. All right, oh yeah, X. As far as steals. Now, unfortunately, they keep kind of running away. I'm looking for some sort of pullback because, when they get up like this, I don't really want to be buying right there. They can keep going, sure, but it's not ideal. It's not ideal for where I want to be getting in. I want to be getting in at the crux of a turn. I want to be getting in here on the 15. I want to be getting in here on the 15. So this now is getting a little bit stretched, and it could keep going a little bit, but it's not a place to start a position. You don't really want to be doing it when you are pretty far away from moving averages and you're running the third ATR and you're up here at a previous all-time high. So great. I'm happy to see this kind of stuff. It makes me want to get into one of these when they pull back. But as far as initiating a move, it's not a good place to initiate a move. I want to initiate right here when it starts to turn and starts to use these moving averages for support. I'm seeing that with CLF. Let's see, CLF, nice move, cool. Can't take it. Missed the opportunity on something like that already. So we'll just have to kind of wait for them to turn around. Or pull back, rather. CIG looks not earnings. already had earnings, but looks like it has more earnings coming up. Weird. Here is also, well, here's an example of why I caution about the third ATR on the daily. Look at that thing right there, right smack into the third ATR, and then pulled back hard. Now, unfortunately, even with a stop, you would have gotten screwed on something like this, because even if your stop was right below here, if it gaps down like that, there's nothing you or your broker can do. You get screwed on something like that. This is the risk of trading. Now, what I will say is there was one little detail, and this is what I started to pay attention to when I was teaching myself how to trade. So, who was asking that? Bill. Here is I know it's a detail, and it's very small, and it's maybe not always true, and you never know what's going to come behind it, but look at what happened here. You see how price got rejected and trapped right there by the underside of the 15-minute 50, and you see how the Moxie indicator was below zero? That was your only clue. And those who subscribe to me with the Moxie indicator and all that kind of stuff, you guys see me time and time again on live sessions, on classes, you name it. A lot of times I do point out this detail on the 15-minute time frame. In fact, if we look at TTD, and we go back to this big plunge, look at that. Do you guys see the same thing? Look at that. That is exactly the same thing as the CIG that Bill just showed. So it's a detail, but it's there. And if you guys are aware of it, then you can potentially save yourself some big headaches and some big stuff like that. All right, LTHM. Okay, starting to move around a little bit. Okay, after earnings, good. And actually, here, let me show you this. This is an example of why I do not want to go in on X yet, because X is about right there, right? You can kind of see that CLF and X are very extended. They're running the third ATR, and they were pretty far away from their hourly 50. So if you just give it a little bit of time, they tend to come back down. You can see right here, price started to cut through the 15-minute 50 and then on down to its hourly 50. Now, you wait for earnings, you let that go by. Yeah, this is starting to look fairly good, because I'm seeing some things I like. Number one, it looks as though price is starting to hold the daily 50. Okay, now we'll have to make sure that that actually happens. Number two, this is a trampoline move. Price should not be below the 50 if the Moxie indicator is above zero. Great, so that's a high pressure, high buoyancy type setup. And then we look a little bit closer to find the exact moment that we can go in. Again, I like to wait till after earnings. This is why. And then look yesterday, right there. Price held the 15-minute 50, and it continued to hold the 15-minute 50 today, and you got a pretty good move up. So, Joe, that was a great find if you found that yesterday or even this morning, something to that extent. Right now, I would prefer to wait, because I don't, right here, I don't really want to be buying up there at the third ATR. I don't really want to be buying at a previous high, and I don't want to be buying when price is that far away from moving average. But sure, this thing looks good. If I can get a pullback to support, great. I will start looking into this. This is a name that is on my list that I typically go through, so I'll pay a little bit more attention to it now that it's looking pretty good. But I don't want to be going in on it today. If you're in already, fantastic. Hang on to it and see if it continues to follow the moving averages. If you're not in it, we're going to have to look for an opportunity. Jonathan, we did cover the NASDAQ already, so whenever this thing comes out on recording, then we can go back. Lucas, yeah, DE Cat was asked me of this morning. I have a mixed opinion about this. Partly because the Moxie indicator here on the daily chart is starting to cross below zero, and partly because the Moxie indicator has been below zero this entire time, and so it hasn't really seen anything. However, if this is going to become the beginning of a move, what I will see is, what I do like to see is that the 8 is still over the 21, which means the fast moving average is over the slow moving average, which means it's still technically bullish, because fast over slow is bullish. And then we also see price coming right into the daily 50, and it would hopefully bounce off the daily 50. That would be great. And then if we start drilling down, some of the other things I see are, well, there's a double bottom, and there's positive divergence. Great. The other thing I see, let's kind of start zooming in on this, is on the 15, that here price held the 15-minute 50, and again here price held the 15-minute 50. So this actually, now that I've seen it, is a pretty good example of LTHM. So just where Joe was asking me about LTHM, and basically LTHM was having this kind of move today, and I said, look, I don't really want to buy when price is up here too far away from that moving average, and I don't really want to buy when price is up here at a previous high. So what happened on DE, for example? DE, opened up a little bit, but pulled back, and where to go? Right to the 15-minute 50, and the Moxie indicator's above zero. That looks good. That's at least done what I want it to do to find support and then verify that that support's going to work. And so far, the Moxie indicator looks good. So I'm a little cautious about DE, mostly because it's just been trending sideways for quite some time, and I can't prove yet if it's going to hold more major moving averages like the hourly. But for now, what it is doing is, for now, it's holding the daily 50, and for now, it's holding the 15-minute 50. And if these are the time frames that we have to kind of trade on, like the 15s, then okay, trade it for a little bit. If it starts to roll over, get out, and then maybe kind of try again. But look at this example of DE and how price right here came back down to the 15-minute 50. And then let's look at that at LTHM. If I can type it in. And you can see here, look at that. It's the same thing. I don't want to buy here. I want to buy whenever it comes back down here, if it comes back down here. Then we'll just have to wait. Let's see. Then, oh, and CAT, just as reference. Oh, CAT really took off. Wow. Yeah, somebody mentioned that in my room today. Okay, well, this might change the story of situations. The fact that CAT is actually breaking out today. Okay, that might change some stuff. So yeah, maybe DE, the fact that it did pull back to that 15-minute 50 looks okay. Look at this Moxie indicator. That's looking pretty good. And the one on DE was looking pretty good. That's why I said I liked it on that 15-minute time frame. Now, as far as CAT goes, same thing. I wouldn't really want to buy it up here. I would really, really prefer some sort of pullback. We didn't get much of a pullback yesterday into today. So DE, while it may not be leading like CAT is leading, DE could follow in its footsteps. And if you look here, this 15-minute Moxie looks good, and it just bounced off that 15-minute 50. So yeah, maybe we kind of look at that and say, okay, one is leading the other, and they should travel in packs. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I'll keep an eye on that one. Bill, let's see. GNW. Then I got to get going. GNW. Yeah, a little extended. The thought here, because again, look at this. Third ATR on the daily chart, so it's a little extended over there. And then the question is price going to bounce off of the hourly 50? And we don't know that answer on that time frame alone, so we look one lower, and I'm seeing that price is not caring about the 15-minute 50, and the Moxie indicator is below zero. So for now, what that's telling me is it's unlikely that price is going to just immediately bounce off of the hourly 50, because the 15-minute 50 along with the Moxie indicator just doesn't look strong. And this is how I kind of piece all of the parts of my system and my education and my trading together. So that doesn't look super great right now. And I would say probably likely that there's more of a dip or a pullback or a just not a bounce off of the hourly 50. And that's what I think is going to be happening. So I'm going to make a mark here, and then I'm going to write that down just so we can see what happens next week. All right, guys. Well, I am out of time, so I'm going to leave you with that right here. And I don't know where my... Nope. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys with this as far as the website. So if anybody has any questions, this is where you guys can reach out to us, frequently asked questions, the About Me, anything else like that. Let me know if we can help out, and we'll see you next week. Enjoy the day.